Hi, everyone. This is Joan Lok, and today we are going to have a talk about brushes. This is a request by some of you, and this can be a continuation of two other Zoom events that I have conducted, in the past. And one of them is about the construction of brushes and how to pick a good brush. And then the second one is on how to open a new brush and also how to clean it and care for it. So this could be, like in a way, the third part of, the continued discussion on brushes. So I will put in the YouTube link, like the other two presentations. So if you want to catch up with it, with this is the first time you get this video. And then welcome everyone for being here. So let me do this. Okay, let me just show you some of the brushes. Okay, it looks like a lot because I basically just, like go to my drawer and pull out, some of the brushes that I use. But then honestly, when you go to some of my workshop, you will know that I don't use all of them in my workshop. I only have a few that I use all the time. But then since this is a section to show you my brushes, so I'll be more than happy to give you a more kind of like deeper look of what I use. And I have kind of put them in sort of categories, and I have the combination on this side. And then kind of like these are the one that I mostly use for my flower and bird painting. and then you will see that actually these three projects are the same, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. But then these are some of the fields that I use for my landscape. And this bunch is more like the mountain horse hair brush. So you probably see that I only use one or two of them all the time, but I want to show you the variety of sizes we have. These are some of the ones that I use for my refined paintings, such as gombi, or for example, the detail of the veins or the filaments, pollen of flowers and things like that. I will use this. And I have to say that, it depends on, like what I do. Sometimes I do a lot of flower bird painting. I will have my favorite at that particular period, but then I may, change to another one, and then, like something like that, but I'll show you. And then these are my flat brushes. Of course, they can be for washers, but then, for example, this afternoon, I'm going to do a workshop on painting bamboo, but also go a little bit deeper on doing bamboo. So some of you would know that besides using a round brush, you can use a flat brush to do a bamboo stalk. So we're going to talk about that as well. Because the screen would probably look very cluttered, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about it one by one. So let's just talk about one by one here. Okay, these are my flat brushes. And of course, I probably have more, but then you can probably tell that my favorite one is this one. And is nothing more than, I believe this is a either 2.5 or 3 inches flat brush. I like it. Why? Because sometimes, especially for landscape, when I do a wash, it can do a wider coverage. And by the way you load the brush, it can do a nicer gradation. And you probably notice that on the brush that I do for washes, both have a marking on one end, but not the other. Because when I am loading the brush, I would want to have two colors on this. And then by marking it, what I would do is I will remind myself that one side has color A and the other side has color B. A lot of time, color B is actually water. Let me just show you. For example, we'll just do it in a simple way. This is, let's see. Let me get a brush I can dip into. Okay. For example, I have, this blue. So I have a blue here. And of course, you wet the brush first. When you're dipping, it could be, either way. You can always say that the unmarked side is water, but it's easier to think that, the marked side is the color, the unmarked side is the water. So water is here, I already have it. Mark side is the color. Don't do it with the entire brush. Do it with one tip. All right. So I got the blue here. And let's get a piece of practice paper. Right here. Dark side, water side. You see the gradation? You have very smooth gradation going down. So if you do a sky, just overlap, then it will have nice gradation going down. This is water, this is white. So there's no marking of the brush. So this is how I use a flat brush. And my favorite one, I believe this is a, let me see, I do have a ruler here. I think it's a 2.5, but let me just see. Yeah, it is a 2.5. It's a 2.5 inch, but then, you know, you can pick your favorite. Sometimes I have 3 inches, sometimes I have 2, but then, and then you see this one is slightly longer. So it's really up to you, you know, what kind you want, trial and error, but then 2.5 inch flat brush. And usually I use it for doing a background wash, right? And I usually mark it so I know which side is the water, which side is the color, all right? So on this 1.5 inch, and a lot of times I use it not for gradation, but actually for doing bamboo, you know, like straight down doing bamboo, and the same thing with this one. This one, you know, just by looking at the kind of wood the handle is and the kind of hair it used, this one is actually slightly pricier. I forgot exactly how much I paid for it, but then this one also deliver a very good bamboo stock. And if I want to, I can of course use it as a background wash brush. But I have to say that I'm so used to this one that you know, this is my go-to one. And if you take a closer look, this is actually pretty worn out. You know, this is falling apart, and I have kind of, you know, tried to mend it because for one reason or another, you know, an old brush is like an old friend. So, you know, like regardless of how old it is, you know, you just don't want to get rid of it. So this is my go-to brush for my wash. And this is probably my go-to one, you know, depending on the, for example, like the bamboo here, like the bamboo, you can tell that this is actually the width of this. This is done, this bamboo stock is done by this. And this is actually done by a regular round brush, while this one could be this whole sideways. I mean, like, you know, tipped. And you know, like as I say in the workshop we're going to do this afternoon, we'll talk a little bit about how do you, I mean, you don't have to buy flat brushes of different width in order to do different width bamboo. You can, you know, like handle the brush in a certain way to manipulate the amount of hair touching the paper, so you can have different width. But we can talk about that you know, in the workshop. But these are the brushes, and mainly Hake brush is for doing washes because it deliver a flat and even wash. And if you load it in gradation in multiple color, you can have really nice change in color, smooth background that have no visible brush mark. Okay, any question on the Hake brush? So nope. All right, so we can move on to the next one. All right. Okay. All right, so let's see what kind we have. All right. So how about the combination brush? Okay. I actually, you know, like I didn't realize I have that many, but I do. So when I have a flower workshop, I actually would usually bring 2 or 3 of these out. And the combination brush, you can tell, you know, like for example, this one, you have most combination brush, harder hair in the middle, softer hair on the outside. Harder hair, a lot of time, the natural color are darker, and then the softer hair, the more absorbent to liquid hair, the color usually are lighter. So you can tell, you know, this combination brush, because this has completely washed, this is not the paint, right? So this one is a combination brush. This one is the combination brush. And you can tell these two are combination brush as well, right? And like this one, combination brush, side is white, but then the inside is darker, right? Combination brush, the trade name, we have been using long float, and of course, combination, and sometimes we have orchid bamboo, and they are as good, all right? So we can tell that, like my combination birds are actually on the relatively larger size. And this one is already kind of like the smaller one. But then you can tell these are relatively big. Okay, these are the big one, right? Okay, so these are the smaller one, right? The reason why I have bigger one is because I use it to paint petals, right? So, as I said, maybe do it like this. Okay. It's less distracting. I use it to paint petals, flowers, petal of flowers. And you know that, like my flowers, usually every stroke become a petal, or two stroke become a petal. Because of that, unless I'm painting really small flowers, I usually like the width of the brush is big enough to cover the width of the petals. Let's just give you an example. Okay, this is my Chinese brush painting flower book that you can buy from my website. But then, like in a lot of my floral painting, the brush, when it come down, is already a petal. One petal, two petal, three petal, right? And these are smaller flower, but for example, like for iris, one petal, two petal, three petal. And then for larger one, like of course the brush work also matters, zigzag, and then down is one petal, right? So because of that, if I use a very small brush, I can only make small flower. As a matter of fact, because of the book, this one is, the actual painting is actually larger than this size. But then because I want to paint the flower, the size, usually the size of the actual flower, so I would have bigger brushes to cover the size of the petals, right? So that's why I have bigger ones, right? And other thing is, you probably noticed that, this is a habit of mine. You do not have to copy it, but then when I was doing in-person workshop, the thing is, when I do in-person workshop, after I demonstrate how to do a particular stroke or how to do a complete flower, what I would do is I would provide time for the student to actually practice what I show them before I move on to the next topic, because you have to get it in order to move on. And when they are practicing, what I would do is I will hold my brush, and then it could be loaded with, like say for example, we are doing iris. I'll load my brush with the iris color, and I'll just walk around tables to observe how each student is doing. And then when they are doing certain things that I believe that, maybe I should give a suggestions, I would actually, like pick up my brush and, like, okay, like maybe do it this way, maybe, like, when you land the brush, do it this way, instead of do it this way, something like, so I would walk around and do that. And what I find out is that when you are doing that, sometime during the conversation, I'll put down my brush, and then I'll, or maybe the student said that, well, you have a good brush. How about my brush, So I'll use her brush or his brush, and then I'll do that. And then I'll walk around, and then I'll forget my own brush, and then I will forever lose it. And I have to say that I don't want to think that the student want to take my brush, but then when you do not mark your brush, and inadvertently, the student might, when they are packing things, they pack your brush, they went home, they're like, oh, I have one more brush. I don't know whether it's Jones or not. But if I marked it, then it's a lot easier. And you probably notice what I mark it with. You don't want to mark it with things that everyone has. In the beginning, I actually mark it with a red color tape, but then there are not too many primary color available in Home Depot. So if you have a class of 20, you may have more than 2 or 3 students have marking with red brushes, right? So after a while, I decided to mark something that probably no one else would do it to their brushes. And so you notice that I mark my brushes with a Hello Kitty tape. And I have to say that this is so out of the ordinary of Sumi-e that hopefully I don't have another artist student that mark it with Hello Kitty. So if you see the brushes that mark with Hello Kitty, then they are Joan brushes. But of course, you see, I did not mark all of them because like this is a brush that I haven't marked. But I have to say that because I haven't been really teaching in-person workshop. So brushes that I open lately, I didn't bother to do that. But then that is the first marking. So the first marking is to identify that this brush is mine. The second marking, remember I said that these are for flower and leaves for floral painting. And you probably know that flowers are mostly red and warm tone. Orange, yellow, red, pink, or maybe a little bit purple, but then, like the red tones, right? And then when it comes to leaves, unless you're talking about foliage during the fall, leaves are yellow, green, blue. And, because it's Sumi-e, I also add black. But then for flower, most of the time, I would not say never, but most of the time, when you have a dark flower, even, for example, we call something called the black peony. Black peony is not black. Black peony is maroon. So it's a very dark red. It's not black. So it depends on, which school you are from. Some artists will actually add some ink to the red, but we could actually add indigo to the red to make it maroon or, like some other combination. But very seldom do we add black to the floral, but then very seldom do we have the red tone for the leaves, right? But because of that, what I do is I also have a secondary marking on my brushes. See, this is something that not a lot of people do, but I do it because from experience. You will know that besides the Hello Kitty, that is for everyone, I have a few that have green on. But of course, you can have some other color. Because I mean, like the reason I do pick green is because my Hello Kitty has pink. If I do another red, it's not that visible quickly. So what I do is I put green on these. And have you noticed the brittle? I mean, the hair for this is a lot lighter than this because these are my internal note for myself for painting flowers, right? Back to my flower book. Say, for example, you are doing peonies, right? You are doing peonies, you have all the red for the petals, and then you have the green for the leaves. You look at the size, they are kind of the same size, right? So technically, if I want to, I can paint my peonies because these are also the steps. You do this, and then you add the leaves, right? After I paint the flower, I can always go back, wash my brush, and then do my leaves, and then complete the painting. But I am doing, because this is a demo for a flower painting book, so this is, one flower. But for example, in my album, which is also available in my website, okay, you see, okay, maybe this one. You see, I have peonies, multiple ones in the composition, right? I have multiple flowers, regardless of what it is in my composition, right? So when I'm doing this, it makes sense because we don't do a sketch. it makes sense, especially for this one. It makes sense to complete this flower, do the leaves, and then add this flower, do the leaves, and here I have a branch or a leaf falling down, but behind it, I have a flower. So obviously I have this leaf drawn first, and then I painted this flower later. If I use the single brush, I will be doing pink, wash it out, load it with green, wash it out, load it with red, wash it out, load it with green, wash it out, and then do the pink again and go back and forth. First of all, it's a big waste of paint, right? But another thing is, it's also a big waste of the brush, because the brush that touch green, after you wash it, it might have a little bit of green in it, and then you are contaminating the flower's colors. So a better theory or a better practice, which I have to say that I don't see a lot of artists do that. And I also don't see a lot of artists showing the student the trick, or maybe they themselves do not do it, is to have two sets of the same brush. Say, for example, let me just pick where same brush. Let me see. Here, these are the same brush. Okay, in as much that the name are the same. You see the writing is the same. It's the same brush. Okay, and it's a combination brush, and actually both of them are relatively new, but you see that besides the marking of Hello Kitty, which means that this is Joan Lok's brush, I have a extra tape of green on this one. And the reason is because this one will be my flower brush, and this one is my leaf brush. Because it's relatively new, so this one haven't been stained with the green yet. But then you will see some of my older one. This one is two. I like these two so much. These are orchid bamboo, extra large. And if you take a closer look, it actually say the word leaf, L-E-A-F, because I want these two brushes to designate for my leaves, because I just think that they deliver very good leaves. So combination brush, and I mean, first of all, this is not endorsed by anyone. But then, you probably can go to your favorite art supplier and buy the brushes. So it could be combination brush of any kind that you like, but then what you may want to do is designate some for flower and designate some for leaf, or at least designate some for brushes that would not touch the ink or the blue-green color. So the pink and red will be very pure. And then for the leaves, it does not matter, because it's so dominating that even if you touch the red, once you touch the green dominates. So these are my brushes for my leaves. These are the brushes for my floral. So these are my combination brush, and most of the time I use it for floral painting, petals, leaves. Okay, any questions on this? Yeah, okay, yeah. And Ming Chao is saying in the chat that she does that too, because not only do you save the danger of color contamination, you also save paint. Because, for example, back to my sample of this, you load the brush with such intense amount of green, you really don't want to wash it away and then do your flower. But then you see the let's go to the other one. Okay, like this one, you actually go back and forth in your design, and because of that, it's very hard for you to like do all the flower first and then wash and then do all the green, because in a way you are doing the composition while you are building the flower. So it just makes sense to have two. And for example, this poinsettia painting for the season, like you have this go down, you have this go down, but then you do this leaf before you do this on the back. This is obviously that, you do this leaf first before you go to the petals of the flower. And the size are the same, because if you have been to my poinsettia lesson, you will know that it's the exact same stroke you're doing for the petals and the leaves, because technically, by definition, these are not petals, these are red leaves. And I'm sure that some of you are gardeners would understand what I'm saying, because these are the flower. By definition, these are red leaves. So things like that. So the way I use my brushes, pick combination brush, designate some for petal, designate some for leaves or darker colors. Okay, any questions on this?
Yep, Joan.
Yes.
I get confused when I think of a combination brush as being lighter on the outside, but some of your combination brushes are darker on the outside, and yet they're still combination brushes. The ones yeah.
I don't see it. I don't think I have any that have darker. They are all darker in the inside.
No, but the ones that are darker on the outside. The ones in your left hand are all white on the outside, and the ones in your right hand, some of them are brown on the outside.
Oh, some of them, they are not combination brush. They are just a single hair.
Okay.
Okay, these two, they are, yeah, it's the same hair. There's no differentiation. This one is actually not a Chinese brush. It's a Japanese brush. It's a calligraphy brush. So I can't explain this one, okay? This one, I have to say that it does have lighter hair in the middle and darker hair on the front. You see that? Like the lighter hair is in the middle. The black and white hair is in the middle, and then the brownish hair is in the outside. This one is called 静波, quiet wave, or quiet ripple, and it's from the Japanese shudo, which is calligraphy, a way of the calligraphy association. They endorsed this brush, and I was actually given this brush by Plaza Art Supply, because I used to teach there, and they use like some of the brushes from them. So this is a gift from the supplier, and it's called 静波, and I'm not 100% sure exactly what it used for, but then from the writing on this particular brand is actually endorsed by the Shudo, which is the Association of the Way of Calligraphy in Japan, and it is for calligraphy technically. But of course, since I'm more a painter than a calligrapher, and then I have used it for leaves, and they are very good, so I put it in my pile. But you see that I didn't put a marking for petals, so they are for leaves, because without marking, they can touch anything. So but then this is actually a calligraphy brush, so you're right, this one is lighter in the inside, harder on the outside. So the absorbency is in the middle, but then the string is actually on the outer. But then knowing that it is from the Calligraphy Association in Japan, there's a high possibility maybe that's what they want. They want the ability to absorb a lot of moisture, and yet the brush hair has more stiff and bounce to deliver calligraphy than painting. So this is the exception. But then the other, most of them are lighter hair in the outer and then darker hair in the middle, while these are actually, this is the solid hair. All right.
So the single hair brushes, do you find that they work any differently for the leaves than the combination brushes?
Well, it's a matter of habits.
Okay.
And I have to say that, your brush is an extension of your arm. And as a matter of fact, when I'm sure that when you read a lot of things about painting, because besides, like the technique of painting, there are books on, like writing about the art of painting, just like even in watercolor and oil, there are books about writing. I mean, about the art of painting, right? Of course, those are really not popular books, because people don't want to read about it. They just want to do it. But then if you are really into the craft and was able to get books about painting and writing, some of them would talk about the way to hold a brush, the way of delivery and things like that. And it talk about for example, the hair that is one single kind. How should I put this? Talking about the theory. The in the writing, it says that the brush is actually an extension of your arm, and the arm is an extension of your heart and mind. So the whole thing is one when you are painting. So when you're painting, it's not the brush that is painting, it's not your arm that is painting, it's your heart and mind that is painting. So the whole thing is kind of like from here to here to here to here, and then go to the tip and then to the paper. And when you are doing this, it does not matter whether it's what the brush is made of. So I have to say that when I have a brush, I think in my second video I talk about this, but when you open a brush, instead of kind of oh, this is for whatever, try for different things at least once, and maybe you discover something that everyone said that is not good for, but then it's great for you because your hand can actually control it in a way that it obey your command to do certain things, right? So, and of course, that is also the way the brush work. And I'm going to talk about another kind of brush that I think may be interesting. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, all right. So I have the mountain horse here. Okay, these are the mountain horse or the hard hair brush. All right. When it comes to the hard hair brush, and everybody heard about mountain horse, and a lot of the beginners thought that they must have a mountain horse. I would probably say that you don't have to if you don't want to. It depends on what kind of things you are painting, and of course it also depends on habits. And you will see that this one is a mountain horse and it's a large. This one is a medium. So the large and medium is actually just the size, right? And then I have, but then size is deceptive because large, small, medium all depends on the manufacturer. With the manufacturer when they make 3 different brushes, then by comparison, because this is from the same manufacturer, so this is large because comparison, this is medium, and there's a small somewhere, right? Because I probably bought the set. But then you see here, this one is also a large mountain horse. You see this? This one is actually only the size of the medium, right? But then this is from a different manufacturer, and you can see that this word, if you read Chinese, this word is the word large. You see the word large, large. So this one is a large, this one is a large. And this one is mountain, this one is horse. So both of them are mountain horse brushes, but this large is this size. This large is only this size, which is the medium of this brand. So large, medium, small is all relative. So when you buy the brush, just look at the size and decide what are you using it for? Do you use it for something that you need coverage this big, or you only need this size? Then you can save your money and buy maybe a slightly smaller one and things like that. So that explains the size. And this one is mountain horse, and this is the same brush, because as I think I told many of my students that when I like a brush, I actually buy multiple ones. And this one, if you look at this is covered by my tape, but this one is the word small mountain horse. But of course, this is by the same brand, by the way. With this is medium. This small is really small because this is not small. It's just like when you have t-shirt sizes, you have small, medium, large, and then you have extra small, extra small, extra small, like 3x small, and then you have large, you have extra large, extra large, 2x large, 3x large. This one is small mountain horse free. That means it's extra small, right? So as I say, it could be extremely confusing. And I think I said that in the last video. This is the same brush, but then this one looked different because the hole started to fall apart, and I actually used a piece of thread and kind of mended it. So because after I fix it, it handled differently. So I use it for different things now. But if you've been to my painting workshop, my go-to one, I mean, I used to use this brand. This is a brand from Taiwan. It's called Sang Fei Tong. And unfortunately, Sang Fei Tong has folded because the artisans are very elderly. And then the grandfather passes it to the son passes to the grandfather passes to the father passes to the son passes to the grandson, but the great-grandson, like are no longer interested, or one way or the other decided, not to carry on, because they basically carry it on to make sure that all the old artisans have a place of work. But after the oldest artisan has retired, the family had decided not to carry the industry. So Sang Fei Tong, according to my understanding, no longer manufacture brushes. However, because it's such a good and famous brand, and I'm not sure whether you are familiar with renowned Lingnan artists in the Lingnan School of Painting, Ao Honian on Taiwan. Sang Fei Tong is his brand. He used all Sang Fei Tong's brushes. And as a matter of fact, I buy the brushes because Ao Honian uses it. And I have to say they're very, very good. But then I was told that because the family had decided not to continue, so whatever in stock are the only left. So they are actually increasing price, and if you can find it, grab them. But I was told that they no longer, no new ones will be made. They're just like wine, they're limited edition. If you want 1982 Lafitte, that's the only one you can get, because 1982 is not going to happen again. All right, so this is the one that I use all the time. Let's take a closer look. Okay, I have to say that, I mean, I tell this story multiple times. You may have heard about it. This also says Sanma mountain horse brush. This is small one, so this is small number one. Okay, and this is from a place called Gao Gui Tong, which is also an extremely famous brand in Japan. All right, and I have to say that I did not go and buy the brush. I was visiting Japan and just was walking around Kyoto, and I saw the store for this brush maker, and I'm like, oh my God, I just kind of like, I wasn't looking, but then the store is right in front of me. Of course, I have to go in. And when I go in, of course, I have to buy something, right? So I bought this, and I have to debate which one to buy because they're very expensive. And usually when I buy something, I would take off their, the price tag, because, like it's not something that I want to have. But then I always keep this because I want to show my student how much it costs. I'm not sure whether you can see this. Is 5,500 yen plus tax. And the tax, 5,500 yen plus tax is probably become around $67 or $68 US. And so US, I'm talking about US, 5,500 yen plus tax, because I think at that time it's not 1 to 1.3, it's like 1 to 1.1 dollar or something like that. But anyway, this cost me $60+ for a brush. But why do I buy this? And why do I buy this size instead of a bigger one? Because I use it for the wings and the tail of songbirds. This is the exact same size I think is useful for it. Let me just do a demo. Okay, let's talk about the bird first, okay? For a Ningnan style bird, because I mean, not all birds are Ningnan style, but then if you have my book, you know that I sneak in a painting of a bird. 82. Okay. This is, by the way, a Baltimore Oriole because I was living in Maryland, and this is the state bird of Maryland. This is the songbird. This is an Oriole. The brush will be great for doing the wings and also the tail. And let's play with it. If you don't have a mountain horse brush, you can always use potting paper to dry the brush a little bit. But here, you see how much flying white it creates, right? And this is exactly the size of the tail and the wing that I want, right? So this is the mountain horse brush. And of course, you can also use it for, like small branches and things like that. And it can create pretty nice flying white, right? So that's my mountain horse brush in small one. But of course, large and small depends on what you are looking for. And by the way, they also have a differentiation of how long the hair is. So get the long hair, small one of this particular brand is the one that I use for my bird wings and tail, right? But how about this? What do you use this for? You can use this for a lot of different things. For example, not always you do bird. Maybe you want to do very like old branches, for example, branches and trunk of a aged plum blossom. Then a palm tree would have very, very, rugged looks, and you can use it to do, for example, pine. And this small one can do very nice pine needles because of the occasional flying white, but yet it also deliver, very nice lines. So it looks very calligraphic. And I have to say the mountain horse is a must-have for Ningnan artists because of the look of calligraphic strokes, and especially if you want to do a good bird. So I usually, do not really, have this in my bag anymore because I can use this single brush to do a majority of the stroke that I want, and I mean for flower and birds, and most of the stems and also the birds, I can use this single brush and take care of it. So even it cost me almost $70, I still think that it was a good investment. Right. So any questions on the mountain horse? If not, we can come to my last two. Okay. I have small brushes, and small brushes are mainly for detail. And of course, if you are doing gombi, then you can, use the really small one. I have to say that when I start off, let's get the white background. When I start off, I bought this really small one in order to do, for example, the little pollen on the flower, like things like these, like, like all the inside, I would use this little brush. But then after I become a little bit more experienced, then I find, like this little brush no longer satisfy my need because it's almost become a single function brush, meaning that beside this, I cannot really have much use for it. And since the hair is so short, it doesn't carry a lot of the paint. So after delivering, like 3 or 4 dots, I have to reload. So I have to say that, like these brushes, I used to have them because I mean, like you see that as I say, like I used to mark it with red, and then some other thing I usually use Mickey Mouse, but then Mickey Mouse is too popular, so I use Hello Kitty. But these are actually my older Hello Kitty markings. So these are actually very old. I have them, many years ago, and I have to say I no longer use them because they are not as versatile. Well, especially if I'm traveling, it's a one function brush and only do this, so I no longer use them. So if you are trying to buy brushes, you don't need to buy this because this, you can get away with some other brush, such as a small brush. Okay, like this brush, I actually didn't buy it. My friend bought it from Taiwan for me, and I actually don't know exactly what it is because the wording doesn't really tell me. But then I can tell this is kind of like a museum collection. He probably went to a very renowned museum in Taiwan and got it from their gift shop, and it is really beautiful. And I use it for a long time. But then because I've used it for more than 10 years, actually is the handle is kind of cracking. So I have to retie this brush, but this was my favorite brush. So after this, I actually bought this one. Same size, you see, very similar size. And this one is called a line brush. It's a weasel hair line brush. And what it does is, okay, let's add some ink to it. Yeah. It delivers thick and thin, but it can deliver very fine lines, right? So compare with, for example, this brush. Of course, it can also deliver very fine line, but after a while, the water kind of dried up. But you see how big this is? So I can actually draw very fine line continuously without reloading, right? And this is great for gongbi painting. So you can keep the flow, you can keep the energy because you don't have to stop and pick up paint. But then these can also double as painting the filament, painting the pollen, like just depending on how you deliver the stroke, painting the vines, the veins, things like that. So now I no longer buy small brushes like this, but I buy, like these. And of course, like I think you already know that if I like a brush, I buy two of them, right? So I have, like similar one of the same size. And of course, occasionally I'll have slightly bigger one. And these, it can, of course, deliver this, but it can also deliver small petals, small leaves, new leaves, because technically you can use the tip of a larger brush, but a smaller brush, you have more control. Okay, so these are my smaller brushes, but then when I am traveling, I usually just bring this one, right? Because when you're traveling, you really don't want to have a lot of brushes, right? And by the way, I'm not sure about you, but then when you're traveling, even you have luggage, I will probably put it on my carry-on because as an artist, it's the extension of your arm and your heart and your mind. You don't want to lose it. Luggage can get lost, but if you are carrying it, hopefully, like you don't drop it, right? So I'll probably say that, like I carry it and that's why I do not want to carry like 300 brushes. I carry minimum, and this is the one, right? Now, the last one, the last set, this is just to illustrate how I buy brushes. As I want to show you, these three are the exact same brand. I don't even know how many I bought in the beginning, but these are medium orchid bamboo. It's a single hairbrush, but you see that these brushes were the same, but I didn't open them all at once. I probably started with this one, and then this become old, I advanced to this one. And then now when this one is old, I open this one. This is probably open maybe like only 6 months ago. So this one is relatively new. And you probably also see that this one, since it's relatively new, I have my green marking. This is for flower. So a new one, I use it for flower. And this one, you see this marking? This marking, remember, it's a leaf. So when it become older, I don't mind it touching other colors. So this will be for leaves. And this one, I have to say that compared with what it was, you see how much thinner and how much hair it has lost. So this one, I have a marking. And I know that you may not read the Chinese marking, but I actually wrote it down. I say landscape. So basically, mountain water. I use this one for my landscape because this has been worn out, but it's a very good brush. So I keep it for my landscape because I think people who have been to my landscape lesson would know that I'm pretty rough on doing the rocks and all those things. And this is a good brush to do the rocks. And so I have a landscape brush, and the same thing with this one. This is also a similar brush that has become old, and I advanced it and graduated it to be my designated landscape brush. And of course, do I have brushes that they are not old brushes, but I bought them for landscape? Yes, I do. And this is actually, the marking is not there, but then it actually say landscape brush because the brush is actually created for landscape. It's a kind of hard hair, but it's not as hard as mountain horse. It's a weasel hair brush that can also deliver, a pretty good texture, stroke, different shun, So I have brushes that is for landscape, but then most of the time with you been to my landscape workshop, you'll see that I mostly use these two brushes for almost everything on my landscape. All right. And of course, even I'm not really a calligrapher, occasionally when I find a brush that can deliver good calligraphy, I will keep them and not use it for flower and bird, because in a way, landscape brush is different from floral brush. So what I did is I have this brush, I tried it, I found it can do pretty good standard script gaishu. So what I did is I actually wrote down that it's for standard script use. So it's for standard script calligraphy. I will use this brush because this brush, when it's wet, it gets to a point. It has such volume, it can actually finish the entire word without reloading. And all in all, it's a very good brush. And then the bounce is just right for like the stroke for the bow, the stroke for the cake, So if you find a brush that you like, save it for that particular function. All right. So any questions on what I presented today on different kind of brushes? Let me see, I have like a chat message. Let me see, what did it say? Okay. Yeah. All right. So
what is a happy dot brush? Is that just
happy dot brush is similar to, see, I don't have that anymore, but I used to have them. They're similar to this kind. Happy dot is similar to this. Is a smaller brush. I mean, compared with like these sizes, it's a smaller brush, and I mean depending on what size you have, but happy dot is wider than a line brush. So it's not for delivering line, it's actually for delivering dots. For example, I mean, this is not a happy dot, but you can just get some ink. See this? You can do really nice dot for the orchid because you want nice dot, right? And you can also use a happy dot for plum blossom that, get some color, that each stroke become a petal, right? So so it's for dots and it's called happy dots. But I mean, like, I don't know who translated that, but basically it's a brush that can do beautiful dots, right? And a beginner, usually happy dot is recommended Because usually for beginner, they will give you, let me see. I mean, depending on the manufacturer, I mean, the retailer, they usually will give you maybe a good size brush, so you can have bamboo leaf, bamboo stalk, and then they will also give you like a happy dot. Then you can do little flower, little things, and then they might give you, you know, some things maybe not this small, maybe this size, so you can do some details, such as the filament and the pollen, and you know, if they give you 4 brushes, then it will be 2 different size of maybe like this, yeah, or something like that, for beginners. So it depends on the retailer, how they want to bundle and sell it to you. All right. So, you know, as I say, this is not endorsed by any particular retailer. So, and each of them, sometimes they will work with a teacher and say, this is the so-and-so teacher's collection that have selected these 3 brushes and this paint and this paper. And, you know, like Western artists do that too. This is the watercolor collection of so-and-so artists, or the oil painting collection of Bob Ross, or things like that. So I'm sure that some retailer also work with some teachers and do a starter set or things like that. And occasionally I would do that with, for example, if I have a particular workshop and it was sponsored by a certain retailer or things like that, sometimes they would ask me to put together a set that they can sell it to the student in a set and things like that. So Happy Dot usually is included for smaller painting of dots and small petals. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. With not, I'm going to close this because we have another workshop coming up at 1. We need to grab a bite, especially for students who are joining the workshop. And if you have any questions, let me know. I promised to work on loading of the brush, but then we don't have time because it's already past the hour. I will do that next time, because I actually have done it in a Zoom event, but then I am a one-person show. I don't have time to catalog my YouTube recordings. So if there's any volunteer who would like to do it for me, I will be more than happy to give you access to them and catalog it for me. But then I have made more than you know, like actually I you know, the count also include the workshop promo, but then I have more, I mean, like maybe 60 or 70 plus videos on YouTube, although majority of them are promos. The other big portions are actually the Zoom event that I talk about technical things, and I have section on the web page, which I just have a question on, but I have already covered it. So, you know, I directed the student to see that again. But then I know that some of you joined my Zoom recently. So with this useful information and you want to cover it again, I'll do that as well. So for those who are joining the workshop, grab a bite. And then I will see you in the next Zoom chat. Hopefully, you know, before that on some of the workshop. The next Zoom will be in February. I might have reasons to change the date, but then I have to, you know, like work on some other things first. But anyway, regardless of the date, it will be on the Year of the Dragon, and we will do the dragon calligraphy together. Because when I taught how to paint the dragon, 2 of the students asked me to teach them how to do the word dragon in calligraphy. I would love to do that, but then we have so much to cover. We were unable to cover in the workshop. So I think it's kind of a cool thing to celebrate the new year by doing the calligraphy together. So that would be fun for the new year. And I will talk to you guys, you know, hopefully in an upcoming workshop or maybe this afternoon. So thank you. Bye-bye.